light of all that is, the light of your feminine being. I bring you love to support you as I embrace your freedom. Together with Yahshua and myself, we came to show you how to be free. And now we say, you are free. You are the crystal rose of peace. Translucent and beautiful, angelic and filled with grace. You are the crystal rose of peace. Hold with that for the next 3 minutes and sit in stillness. pass around the rose quartz. And the last one you have it, if you could place it in the middle of the circle. This place of sacred space. This place. No, I have it. Thank you. So, before we totally come out, this, I'd like to read to you a selection called the Rose Cross Meditation written by us. We think of a plant, how it has roots in the soil, how it sends out leaves one after another, blossoms of pink into a flower. Now, imagine a man standing beside the plant. The thought of lights up in our mind, and a man has characteristics and capability, which can truthfully be called more perfect than are those of the plant. He can move about at will. He can go this way or that, as he feels inclined, whereas the plant is rooted to the spot where it is growing. We may, however, then go on to think to ourselves, yes, that is so. The human being is more perfect than that the plant. But I also find qualities in him that are absent, of which in the plant makes it appear to me more perfect and more respectful than a human being expected. For he is filled with desires and passions, and these he sometimes follows in his behavior, with the result that he goes astray, falls into error. When I look at the plant, I see how it follows the pure laws of growth from leaf to leaf, how it opens its blossom calmly and tranquilly to the chaste rays of the sun. And in fact, it follows the sun. It follows the light in some cases. I perceive, therefore, that whilst man is, in one respect, more perfect than the plant, he buys this comparative perfection at a price of letting impulses and desires and passions have their seat within him, instead of what appears to be pure forces at work in the plant. Then we go on to that picture of ourselves, how the green sap flows right through the plant, and how this green sap is the expression of the pure, unimpassioned laws of growth. And if we think of the red blood as the flow through the veins and arteries of man, we find this red blood the expression of impulses and desires and passions. Then let us think and live in our own soul. Carrying it further, we call it to man and how man is capitulated in his development. He possesses higher faculties of soul, by means of which can refine and purify his impulses and passions. We recognize that thereby the baser element in them is purged away, and they are reborn at a higher level. The blood then be thought of as expression of these purified and chaste impulses and passions. And now we turn our thoughts, let us say, to a rose. We look in the spirit at a rose and say to ourselves, in that red sap of the rose, I see the green color of the plant change to red. And the red rose flows still, not less than the green leaf, but pure, unimpassioned laws of growth. I can let the red rose be for me the symbol of a blood that is the expression of chastened impulses and passions, which have thrown off their baser parts and resemble in their purity the forces of the work in the rose itself. And then we try not merely to go on turning such thoughts over and over in our mind, but to let them come to life in our heart and feelings. A sensation of bliss can come over us as we contemplate the pure and dispassionate nature of the growing plant. And we feel obliged to admit that certain higher perfections have to be purchased by the acquisition of the same impulses and desires. This thought changes the bliss that we expressed before into a solemn feeling, and then a sense of liberation can come over us, a feeling of true happiness when we give ourselves up to the thought of the red blood that can become the bearer, even the red sap in the red rose, of the experiences that are inwardly pure, and in pursuing thus a train of thought that serves to build such a symbolic picture. It is important to accompany the thought all the time with the feeling. Then, having entered right into the experience of the thoughts and feelings, we can recast them in the following symbolic pictures. Imagine, see yourself before a black cross. Let this black cross be for you a symbol of the baser elements that have been cast out of man's impulses and passions. And at this point, where the beams of the cross meet the picture of yourself. Sit while I read the rest of this. And the meaning of the picture is not simply being put forward in a chain of thought. This is a mental picture, not an actual picture. So you have the black cross with the red rose. Keep in mind an experience or a mood that this mental picture might bring to you. Remember, I showed you when you come to a little bit more, this dot in the middle of a circle. Sometimes when we look at a rose, we might come upon this, which is what happens from the dot. carrying it further into a real image, you might have the water enshrouded in the mandala by petals, rose petals. That's flowers. And so, at your leisure, when you're ready, there are round circles that are cut, and you can go over. But I would suggest, I don't say you have to, I never say you have to, but I would suggest that you start your circle with this dot and go from there. And as you're working, I'll show you what I did in watercolors the last 3 days myself. All right? There's no must. This is your mandala. This is your sacred space. This is your touching with your own divine self, your own master, whoever it is. Something's looking at this stone, but that's okay. Anything is fine. So Beth has materials.
I have circles, and I did not put dots in the middle of the
No,
circles.
they're there to do
So
that.
you're going to figure out where your dot might be. And we have, let's see, we have crayons or oil sticks. We have crayons. We have markers. I also have watercolor paint from pouring, which you could use as part of your mandala. So, let it flow.
And we'll work for about 30 minutes, and Mark will film this stuff little by little, and then I will call you back, and I'll do about a half an hour talk from the wall over there, and so Mark can get home and not have to spend all day. Okay.
I did one for Jane too, if you want.
Oh, I'll do it at home. Here.
And these go on the other
the egg.
core
These are going
Yes,
to go
these
on
are-
top of the egg.
on top of it.
After they're done.
So are they supposed to correspond with our fire, earth, air?
No, I'm going to give you your card, not the same one. You'll get another one. You'll get to choose one of 4 again. So you may have 2 elements.
Which is fine.
They're going to be going on the
Yes.
the egg, the golden egg.
Yes,
on
they
our
are.
thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Or they're going on this.
They're going on this, and this is going on the golden egg.
Right, okay. But what you were just, the other card, what's the other card
I
about?
have to get it.
But I mean, what are they,
They're elements. You're just going to get a different one.
so, and that's what we're
Yes.
just supposed to use as our
Yes.
inspiration for
Yes.
this, okay?
Okey-dokey.
Okay. Got it.
Do these then, now, or leave them?
Oh, no, I think we should, well,
Move them
Mark,
kinda
have
out
you
of the
taken
way
these?
a little bit.
Mark had not taken these, so we thought it was okay. And we can put the earth, air, fire, and water on them, so. Okay.
Okay, so they can really just be on top of each other. And water, is that good?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
That's fine.
You don't want the cards on them, do you?
No, you don't want to block it. I don't think.
Okay.
So if you need Sharpies, which are indelible, they're here. If you want one of these little squeegees to move your paint around.
Yeah,
you
you're
do
good.
that.
go.
Well, I went to the corner of that and I ripped and it went. But I don't know
I don't know that it's gonna go
Yeah.
continually.
Okay, okay, and here's the card.
Oh,
She wants the, I'm not sure if she even knows or what.
So what you can do is do a light pouring maybe, and then
Oh,
this
she's got
over
you.
the pouring. Would that work?
that would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a light color of pouring, and this
Underneath
rolls
one now?
in a darker color over the pouring circle. Does that make sense? Okay. Alrighty. So you're going to
three of those.
No, there's another one. Okay. Well, yeah, or there's one here, so this one.
We're putting a color down first and then putting this
Okay.
over and,
Yeah, you're gonna do the pouring with whatever element, and then do this over it with another color.
And you need to, and then you can use one of the rollers, or you can just put it on top and let it dry. That's the other way to have it work.
Yeah, because she needs to step in tonight. But anyhow, let us see what we get here.
Okay, so
And
if
you
you
don't have to choose one.
if you get air, you wouldn't wanna have a flower.
No,
No.
oh, that's all. Trade.
well, I just
So-
took a flower, well, it's whatever.
So we can trade these around depending on what element you get.
Yeah.
Here's a plain one,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay, so it depends on what element you get.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So,
So are we getting a new element?
Yes.
yes, you are. And you're not getting the same one. If you do, I want it back.
I got air. No,
got
I got
it.
fire.
There you go.
Okay, so
I got
fire.
water, so I have to
Okay.
give mine back.
What
so,
would look like fire?
Okay, that's pretty.
Somebody.
Okay.
That's a flower,
It's
that's a
brown,
flower.
black, and yellow.
Well, that could kind of look like fire,
What do
if
you
I,
got?
Oh,
Mess
okay,
with
so
it.
you got earth.
There you go.
no, I got air.
You did?
Yeah, I just
She
got
wants
air.
air.
Oh, no, I mean, that's the one I picked, is air.
Fine. This is it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I took
So-
it back and I thought,
I need to trade mine with somebody because I
Okay.
got water and I'm water. So are you willing to trade?
fire? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay,
So
so
I'm deciding what might be. It would be
that could
fire.
be fire.
Yeah. That could be water.
Yeah, it could be used kind of just
Or
part
that's
of
what
it.
you or whatever alternative you need.
So you'll have to decide.
So put the pouring stuff on, don't put it on dark. Warning, light. You use water first, don't you?
Well, yeah, you should put, let's see, I just got out of water.
Yeah.
I don't
You
even
should
know
put
if
water
I'm
on
gonna
first.
What do you?
Right.
What'd you get now?
Okay.
I got,
Just
I
need a
got,
little.
what did I
If
get?
you
Air.
if you want
got
this,
air?
you can
Yeah.
have it. Does anybody want this?
That'd be air, kind of.
Yeah,
if you wanna
yeah.
use
There
that.
you go.
Okay, here, do you wanna take this one and,
Yeah. Well, you know, you could use both. It's kind of fun.
Does that one look like water? No.
No.
well, it could be waves.
So you need to start with some
Waves
water.
of water.
No, no, that's more air.
And
Unless it-
just.
So I
Okay.
got one that's kind of, that I can make look like water, or I might just do my own
So,
little
Jenny?
weird water thing.
Yes,
Do you wanna start with water on your brush?
Okay.
I don't care.
I mean, are you're gonna pour, right?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm gonna put
Just,
water
just
on
please
mine.
tell me what to do.
No, I'm not gonna tell you what to do.
No,
What
what
if it, this
you
is
put
a
water on
first.
put water on first, then your colors. Then you let it dry. And I'll talk to you.
Okay,
How's that?
all right.
As it's drying, and then this will be the last thing
They
to do.
So I put the colors and everything
Yeah,
on.
yeah, but not real dark.
Take some of this water.
I'm going to.
Okay,
Okay, do not put them on dark. Warning, you with the brown, no dark. Lightweight, please.
I would suggest grabbing your circle
okay.
and then picking colors that are gonna go with air.
That's right.
Okay. So,
Go there.
Here's some water right here. I'm gonna put it over by your
Okay.
your stuff.
All right.
That one, what do you got there? See your blue.
Yeah,
This is cerulean.
I have an extra circle if somebody makes a big boo-boo.
I don't know, should I have two colors?
You could have two.
I could probably not film all this.
No.
That would come out looking like gray.
You could put two colors, like yellow, orange and blue together, and that will make a gray. So here's an orange.
So we had a lot of it. See,
And, let's see, here's a blue. So if you use a brush, just make sure you rinse
You
off the
want some
brush.
of this lighter?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, that's awesome. Where's the turquoise? Oh, right here. Thank you.
I'm gonna borrow your yellow.
Remember the dot in the middle of your piece.
Oh, how do I do that?
Yeah. Tell you what,
Should I do a pencil?
yeah, you could
You
use,
can use a pencil.
you can use these water pencils, these will do it. These guys.
Yeah, I just drew one.
This one,
Yeah, I just drew one.
oh,
Do you have another container where I can mix them together to make?
yeah, very good, whatever you need.
Do we need?
Before. This is before. The way it looked before.
That way about 2 feet.
Huh?
That way about 2 feet.
Okay. If I can bend anymore. Good. Right here,
That's better. Yeah, I can do that.
so I'm putting that down. This. Two things gluing together. This is not good. These were expensive. All right. Very good, thank you. That's all I need. I'm just gonna lay this down so you can take a picture of it. Okay. So this one.
So do you want to take yellow?
No, I was just waiting for to put the lid on it.
Oh, thank you. I'll put this way.
Here.
I think this would be a better way to do it. So I'll do this way. How about that? Don't you think?
I don't care. It's
There we are. That's before we did them.
Oh, that's not working.
So that looks like that.
and what do you do with that?
Well, that we need to spray now. So where is the spray?
Well, you may want to have something under it.
It's right here.
Oh, no, I'll be all right. I won't get it. Okay. So, we'll pray for peace. Well, see, it's getting funny because that's all right. And then I'm gonna peel it
Wait,
out.
don't, not yet, not yet.
No.
Wait.
Waiting,
Patience.
patience. All right. How patient?
that with my water too, so,
If you're ready to get rid of your water,
Yeah. Unless,
are you gonna put your stencil on? Because now is the time to put your stencil on.
oh, it
You
is.
have to wait till it dries, and then you have to wait till it dries. So
You just spent this.
Wait, I gotta put this on now.
if you're gonna choose to do a stencil, that's when you put it on.
Otherwise, what?
How did the gray work?
That's the dark,
I think it's
darkest,
okay.
yeah. So if I,
Don't move it, just put it right on, and that's it. And then we'll walk away.
but if I don't do this, then what's?
So Bess, what
This
happens?
will dry,
And then that'll be the,
and that will give you your,
otherwise,
Your
this is gonna make a pattern.
this is
right?
gonna make that pattern on it. In it. Carefully.
You don't know what you asked.
Careful. You sound like a pro at this.
She does.
I've done a lot of
Stencil work, more than me. Thank you. There it is.
Why did you do that?
That actually is the golden egg. That is the myth of the golden egg. The Hindu myth of the egg, from which the elements and Brahma are born. And so we all created our own golden egg over our own element.
Hey, maybe I
And
should
now we are
put
creating
on mine.
the mandala, the sacred space
Oh,
of our own chosen elements of earth, air, fire, and water
yeah.
Right, but it's okay. Now I just need to rinse this out.
that will be put in the middle of this golden egg, similar to this. I'll just do this as an example, so we can see that,
Really on
how it looks. So that might be a look of the creative parts of
It's pretty, it's a little
the
stencil.
embryo before we are born, that part of ourselves that is the divine spark from which we are all born very much attached. But through life, sometimes, not always, we become unattached. And a little later on, I will explain the wall over here and all the principles behind that, along
I can
with
see parts of yours that are his drawing.
mentioning
That's
some of the scientific material that goes along with it. What we have come up with here is actually arts
It might be a
that are expression of a new psychology between Rudolf Steiner and Carl
There you go.
Gustav Jung.
There you go. Yeah.
We,
Okay.
the theoretists, Robert Cardello et al.,
Oh my God.
have been working on this 15 years and now offer this course and others that go along with it at the University of Dallas, Texas, graduate studies. The arts have been developed all along in both camps, in both Young and in both Steiner, and they have been endeavoring to put them together. It's my philosophy that they were together all along. But we were men, we were humans, and we didn't see it. However, I will say that the ancient Eastern traditions did see it. That's yet to be determined, and that's not for me to judge or, no, it's just that we are progressing, I believe. And now what we can do is take a look at some of these, I believe. Can we take a look at some of these?
Oh, did that one be attached? We were talking about being shoulder to shoulder, as it were.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for doing this little experiment with a kind of a dream. And it was a dream that I didn't realize that some other people had had too, like Sordello and the chair of my dissertation and other folks that are running along the lines of where is the spirit in the psyche, that attachment. Okay? And so I'll hold this up again. That small attachment that the early yogis knew about. And the monastics in the early Christian era knew about these things. See? So, this simple dot explodes into this, which is how we look with all our glory before we take form, before we become who we become outside the womb of our mother. Maybe some people believe even in the stars where we come from. Some will fight you down on that, particularly your astronomers and your scientists and your Steinarts. Okay? And so I come up with this little feeble attempt here of my heart, okay, that I'm playing with over a week, layers upon layers of what we call etheric color in the background. Not the direct color that you see here, not this. Steiner's gonna run into this, okay, into the light color. He's gonna run into that for us. He's going to bring up this and this. And he's going to talk about this side. This is Steiner, astral and future and feelings, okay? And he is about the spirit, the I, the spiritual beings, initiation through dance and ritual, and the I am, which is this, that I am piece. Okay? That breaks into this piece. No color yet, just black and white. All right, so then on the left-hand side, you have young Carl. And to bring it here, he says, it's past, which is the myth, the Hindu myth. Here, in his red book, his journeys of his life, this thick drawings and writing in Swiss and German, which I cannot read, to say. he believed in the past, the etheric space, and images and symbols. Okay? So Jung talks about the soul and talks about the self. All right? Archetypes in the past, characters in the past, which if you would compare to Steiner, he would say these characters are in the stars. And they're real. And if you trace them, in fact they are. In fact they are. Interesting in the past, particularly in the Grail stories, those stories. So, individuation and the self here. So the self is in two parts, it looks like. So you got the images and the feelings and a new psychology, which was not developed by Robert Sardello, but is taught by him, but was written, this book, by Weir, W-H-E-R. He's a German. And he was the one who wrote the work, and you can buy it, and you can read it. And I've been reading it all night long in bed with my Kindle, because this is not written. This is new stuff. This is not taught. New stuff. All right? So, another thing, you're going to see a lot of this brought up by plants with Steiner. Remember, this is Bobby Martin, and he's talking about the etheric body, which is this area. And from that, from the roots and the energy part, comes the physical body, the intellectual soul, the spirit, and three worlds, which in the Western tradition would be the Trinity. I believe. So the spirit self, the flower, conscious soul, the eye, the sapient soul, the astral body, and the roots. You need to take lots of courses to understand that. This is new. Old but new. Been taught for a long time with Steiner and Theosophy. Okay. This, I'm probably not going to go over because it's too complex, but I will say that in a thing called the Emotions Code, a flow chart, all right, you can go over this at your leisure. There are different emotions that are affected by different organs that are anxiety prone. Why do we know this? I will say, because of genetic research in the test tubes that have been done by the scientists called Bruce Lipton. 37 years of research looking in the test tubes, seeing the genes change. Why? He has now become a spiritual biologist. Lipton. New stuff. All right. So we have the stars, we have this stuff, way more. And then we walk over here to Young. And the other day I showed you this, which is, and could be, the middle of the mandala. Right? Could be. It's a blow-up of this, right here. Mm-hmm. This is before the embryo is born. All right. So you have this thing called the amygdala, this red part. In the amygdala, we have And that's all part of a thing called the limbic system of the brain. We have pleasure, fear, anxiety, depression, stress, flight responses, and addictions, and important to storing and forming memories of emotional events. Bang! Oh, somebody's traumatically affected. Oh my God. What happens with that? It hits this. It shuts this baby down. And they start to project. What Jung talked about here, which was the shadow self. It starts to project. Why? Survival. There's no wrong or right as long as you don't kill yourself or others. But you can keep punishing yourself until you are gone. Because research says that the more this is stimulated, overstimulated, say you're in an abusive house, overstimulated, the worse it becomes, the more destructive it becomes, the more addictive it becomes. And the substance makes it worse if we use addiction. And so, reading on down, these functions of the amygdala and the hippocampus, which is this one here, up in here, this guy, this little guy here, you have what we call we have emotional memory, causes of reactive response, behavior when triggered, calming down is difficult. All right, mistakes are made, meltdowns can occur and be projected on the self, like I said, and others. Situations such as eating, drinking, aggression, and sexual behaviors may arise. I didn't say they would, I said they may and can. So, the hippocampus works with the amygdala to form emotionally charged memories. It involves learning. The first thing that goes in the learning, in my observation, 35 years, is math. That's the first guy. And people cannot do math, man. But after they get out of the situation, after they get out of the physical problems, a lot of times math does come back sometimes. All right, so anyway, so it's also you are responsible for self-control. I'm drinking, I can't stop drinking, I don't know why. I'm acting this way, and I don't know why I'm acting this way, and I don't know why. It is responsible for decision-making, keeping track of where you are. I don't know where I am today. I'm in space somewhere. That's all hippocampus. So these systems, it's a formulation of memories, including spatial navigation and memories, Parkinson's. It's in Parkinson's. Yes, sir. And I have a family that I work with, and I can't help him. He's got Parkinson's so bad. That's because he thought he could get by help. Thought he could do it himself. No, won't work. His father died of it, and he is same disease. Exactly. Too bad. Lovely people. All right. So the limbic system controls the basic emotion, the drive, systematic healing, the mind, body, and the soul, and the critical experiences and journeys. The arts, therefore, are very important. They are the tool that re-establishes this. And there has been research now that meditation, which is the mandala work, the walking and meditation, anything that has meditation, yoga, these things will rebuild lost cells in here, lost parts of this, okay? It takes time. And that includes marijuana, by the way. They've done not a lot of nice research on marijuana now. And marijuana actually shuts this down and messes up core memory. Pretty bad.
What, are you saying that THC helps to shut down the amygdala and help people get over?
No,
Oh, okay.
No,
I
that's okay.
misunderstood.
no, that's okay. Marijuana actually shuts down the memory with buildup of THC in the fat membranes of the brain. I'll give you an example. Our son is a watchmaker. You have to know all these watch parts and where they are and how they go in. And he had a lovely friend, and his friend came over a lot. And I said, how's he doing in watch repair? And he says, not good. I said, why? What's your assessment? This is friend to friend. He said he took too much marijuana, he can't remember the parts. Can't remember where they're placed. Doesn't know. When he's asked to place an order, he can't remember where the order is. It can come back through meditation, art, and discipline, and staying off weed, cannabis. Now, I'm not saying that cannabis isn't probably good for pain and that stuff. What I am saying is used over a long period of time, particularly in a young age of a person, the development of certain of these things that we develop at a young age doesn't come in right. Okay? But it can be rebuilt. Now, let us move to this piece. This is my piece, along with somebody else with permission, on the creative process. This was done 20 years ago, and it's done in a dissertation that I wrote about. And most of this now is under the heading of mythoceramics. It's all copywritten, every single piece of this, even the experiment part of it. So, this is for your information only at this point. But anyway, what we're looking at is the creative process. First we look at meditation, right? The calling. What are you called to meditate on? All right? The preparation would be sitting, here you're conscious, you go through the gate, the first gate, which is dealing with the materials, the stuff that you're working with, like the pouring materials and things like that. The second one is the personal unconscious, where you're working with the materials, but you're inside the materials. You're in them. And nobody is stopping you from that. And then you're almost in this unconscious state. See, because there's a theorist by the name of Mary Watkins. She wrote a book called Waking Dreaming. In that book, Young said we dream while we awake. We are awake. Except we don't know it because we're moving too fast. The dream world is always here. So you've got this personal unconscious, you move into this collective unconscious where you're almost in a trance, almost here. And then when you're in this trance, it illuminates, looks something like that, just say, in the back of your brain. And you're doing, in here you're doing this production piece, all in here. When you start coming out of working, it is this numinal land. It's kind of like, oh, I'm just about to awake, like I'm waking out of my own sleep. I'm adjusting into this liminal space. This is the space in between. Woo, it's this space right here that happens and the one I want to see, because it's between here and here. I don't really want this. I want this. I want that place in between. I want to see what was hidden down here that you bring up in the art that's coming up here. And so we have this consensual part, the form, the verification, the synthesis. Oh, I like what I made. Or, didn't you make a nice thing? It looks great. That's way up here. But your creative process is way down in here. It's almost a sleep state. This is why I work at night. I did this in the wee hours of the night. I get my best work at night because the dream is deeper for me. Not everybody. Okay? And then when I come into the daylight, I do these dots. That kind of thing. But at night, I do this light, funny work sometimes. And I never know what I'm going to get. So, anyway, then to come into the mandala for a minute, this is one of Jung's mandalas. It's called The Blooming of the Secret Flower. It's when Jung started mandala work, it was way at the end of his career when he was just ending his thing called the Red Book, which is a big, thick book about this big, all of illustrations. And he says, when the mandala enters the life transforms. It does not stay from one form to the other. Now, working with Steiner's work, we go through this kind of work here, this stuff, it'll do it here too. It'll transform this. Absolutely. There's a play that was written by Maurice Maeterlinck. Oh, I want to say at the beginning of 1900s. It's called The Bluebird. It's so wonderful that they could not produce it. Right now it's on with Shirley Temple. They've done their best. But it's all about this land. It's all about the land of the imaginal. And then he has an opera called Peleus and Melisande. Peleus and Melisande, Maeterlinck, comes close to performing Steiner. I believe so, in his stuff. And I used to do a lot of that stuff, a lot of stuff like this. And then the image would come out as it was supposed to. Never planned. Never. I have a butterfly and I'm going to paint that butterfly. No. My work's not like that. It's okay. Doesn't need to be. Everybody's art is valid. There is no wrong art. Art, for me, is touching God's face. Art heals. And it never will be different. Why is that? Saved my life. Must say it. I'd be dead today. Absolutely. And so that's what I have to say, other than one last little thing, and this, I'm not going to go into this a lot. You can look at this. It's called attachment disorder. When this becomes dead, when this becomes detached, totally severed, and you're trying to find that link that I showed you in my dream, these things can occur. I didn't say they will, I said they could. occur. Depending on the degree of them, and there are 3 degrees, there's advanced or very strong attachment disorders. There are mild and not too bad. Your periodic drunk would be maybe not too bad.
Your periodic what?
Drunk would be probably maybe not too bad, maybe in the middle, depending how much periodic they do. But and we, I would say we, because we're all kind of touched with some of this. I don't think anybody gets through life without working on what we call personal journey. But there's a lot of people, which concerns me, that are soul dead and body walking. And I felt that it was my work, my calling through the arts to try to do my best. Can't promise anything. So, and I wanted to hand this rose to Mark. This is yours.
Mm.
If you would come up here. I brought you a rose. I think you can plant it in a pot or whatever. All that you have done in videoing us and stuff, appreciate it. Yeah. So anyway, that's part of the rose cross, a real rose. Okay, any questions here? Or is this a lot? A lot. Okay. All right. And I don't really say that any of this is what I would call hard and fast. This is all new. This is all theories. This is all bunches of theoreticians brought together. Probably 35 years of work with adults and teenagers and young kids on my part. And I work heavily with addictions. Why is that? A lot of addictions in my past. Here and young. Okay? And to put them into here is like a breath of fresh air for me. So I think it is a blessing that I was pushed in that direction and out of this, because I may need to now move on. Yeah. So who knows? Yeah. So it's just heavy stuff. Reams of reams of reading. Okay. And this, I'm saying, is experimental. It's going to be made into a film. You'll get a copy of it once it's done. Yeah, Polly, what do you think, Mark? Maybe an hour long or less?
I have no idea.
We'll have to see what the clips say, you know. But what I'm hoping to do is submit it to Robert Sordello at Dallas and see what he thinks. And not that we're going to go teach it millions of places. It's what we might be able to do to help others that might have something to add to this down the line. They have different thoughts. You know, because we're all here trying to help others. I hope.
Thank you.
Because without Bess, I couldn't have done this. No way. No. Because with her work, we were able to get to the other side, which is a great thing. It really is.
Yeah.
See, it takes two brains. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you so much.